Toastmaster. I want each of you to think about the most rewarding thing that you've ever done in your life, the thing that you want to be remembered for. Now, was that an easy thing to accomplish, or was it a lot of work? I've found in my short few years here on Earth that there's a direct correlation between how much time and effort you put into something and the reward that it then has on your life. Mr. Contest Chair, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests, I'm going to be telling you about the most rewarding thing that I've done so far and the impact it's had on my life. On October 20th of 2013, almost 10 years ago, I woke up in a hotel room in Des Moines, Iowa. The sun wasn't up yet, but you could begin to see it cresting. I stepped out of the hotel and began to make the journey a couple blocks to where the annual Des Moines Marathon would be starting. I was donned in running leggings. I was wearing a long sleeve shirt with a short sleeve shirt over it. I had a stocking cap and light gloves. I'd looked at the weather the night before. It wasn't supposed to get over 50 degrees. I noticed I could still see my breath, but I knew I wouldn't be cold for very long once I started moving. The adrenaline I felt was intense. This is something that I had trained for over 6 months, but I wasn't sure if my body could endure this or not. But as I got closer to approach the starting line, I could see a sea of color. Thousands of people had come out for this event. The sun was beginning to crest, and I could see it reflecting off of the state capitol, that golden dome glowing, shining on the people below. As I got closer, I was shaking. I thought I was shivering, but I realized it was adrenaline again. I tried to get my breath back to where it needed to be. I began stretching, and before I knew it, bang, the starter pistol went off, and I went off like a shot. It was like learning to run again. Even though I had been practicing this, training this, I'd run hundreds of miles. It felt like my body was learning to do it all over again because I was such a different setting. But before I knew it, I was 5 miles down the road. I was at the first water stop and I was feeling strong. My legs were pounding and I could hear the cowbells. If any of you have ever been to a marathon, that is the anthem. It's cowbells ringing and people cheering you on, hilarious signs. This was the time when What Did the Fox Say was a popular song. And so that is what people were holding up. What does the fox say? I kept plugging along, running even faster, holding my 8 minute mile pace that I hadn't tried to train for, seeing that 4 hour completed marathon on the horizon. And I was at mile 10 and feeling great. At this point, the nerves have worn off, and it's almost like you get into a Zen type of state. You're only focused on doing one thing, and that is moving your body forward at a consistent pace. You begin to settle. You have a steady heartbeat. This is where you can begin to really enjoy everything around you. The marathon took us through most of Des Moines. It's a beautiful way to see a city. This was in October, remember, so the leaves were changing. There were colors of all different shades of red, orange, and yellow and brown. Some of them fall off, and the sound of leaves crunching below the feet of hundreds of people as they run through. And it started to warm up also. I ended up losing the cap. I realized that there was actually sweat beading on my face and then drying. So I would actually wipe away salt as it fell down my cheek. I was at mile 15. I was feeling great. I struck up a conversation. I was now at a conversational pace with those around me. I was getting to know people. I was experiencing this. I was no longer running a marathon. I was experiencing a marathon and I was unlocking something new in my life. I didn't even feel like me. A year ago, I smoked cigarettes. I abused alcohol. I did not feel good and I did not take care of myself. But one day I decided to just get in a little better shape. And now here I was at mile 20. It was going to happen. I was going to complete a marathon. And then it happened. The wall. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you that there is such thing as a wall, I am not lying to you. It is intense. And it's called this because it doesn't feel like there's a way around it. It psychologically tells you that you can't do this and there's no way to make it go away. But I trained for that too because I'd pushed through other walls before. I had broken other barriers in my life and I had overcome things before. This was the hardest thing I ever had to overcome, to tell it that you still have to move your body 4 more miles and you want to just quit. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I kept moving. I was told later that it was more of a shuffle when I got to the end. My pace went way down. I added an extra 12 minutes I didn't want. But when I got to that finish line, I saw it. The adrenaline came back and I finished in a dead sprint and I burst through that finish line. And someone who I didn't had never met placed a marathon completion medal around my neck, letting me know that it was over. You did it. And I'm telling you that I was not the same person when I crossed that finish line that I was when I started. I now realized that there is nothing that I cannot do. When I believed that I was going to stop, that I needed to stop, I was able to go through. I was reborn, and that allowed me to go out into the life knowing that no matter what I set out to do, I'm going to accomplish it. I'm going to accomplish it. So, ladies and gentlemen, push yourself and never give up. Madam Toastmaster.